इसी जगह से आई वाज जस्ट टेलिंग यू कुछ
शॉर्ट सर्विस कमीशन है जो वुमेन के लिए कमीशन आ गया तो जो वुमेन को कमिट कमीशन को आर्गुमेंट तो उसके बारे में किसी हमको पता नहीं था कि मैंने कई जगह ये सारी चीजें मोस्टली ऐसे जो ज्यादा बोलने वाले लोग इसलिए ऑनलाइन मिलते हैं तो ये लेडी ने पोस्ट डाला था कि कितना ज्यादा आप लोगों को इसको फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी नहीं करते हैं जो चीज मैं करने के अच्छा उनको उनको करने दो आपके लिए 250 रुपए तो टैक्स दो तो ये बात रोटी का व्यक्ति की तो अगर ये वाला मैं बता रहा हूं कि एक तो जो जेंडर
I'll just draw something for you, Ruk. I'll tell you about the feminism right now, which I also encountered in my thesis. अब क्या होगा? This is feminism, right? This is the responsibilities. ठीक है? So feminism, when it comes to responsibilities, actually take a U-turn in most of the cases, right? They won't go and take the responsibilities. That is what is happening in the world right now. Feminism सिर्फ हमारे exactly urban areas में ही क्यों वहां भी पूरा नहीं है. What about the feminist spreading of feminism to rural areas? Why exactly the benefit of it is not reaching those particular women? So they are still encountering the same idea. They are still inside their houses only. They are not allowed to work. They are being beaten. Dowry system पूरा चल रहा है. Nobody is talking about that, but everybody is talking about हमें रात को घर feminism कहाँ पर रह रही है आजकल सिर्फ? You need to just go out 12 o'clock तक. हमें ये करना है, हमें वो करना है. Fine, do that. Nobody is stopping you. But when it comes to other things also, we need to get engaged with that, right? So that was the only critique I have right now. Where were we? Resident in his court, right? तो ये एक इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट है. सिर्फ एक ब्रिटिश रेसिडेंट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से हम कैसे चीजों को रिलेट कर सकते हैं. फाइन. थर्ड कंडीशन C, पॉइंट नंबर C. The Indian ruler could not employ any other European. The Indian ruler could not employ any other European in his service. Point number D of the conditions. Point number D in the condition. The Indian ruler was also not allowed. The Indian ruler was also not allowed to manage his own foreign relations. Full stop. So these were certain conditions. कि British resident होगा, right? Then you cannot handle your own foreign relations. That the Britishers have to do that. साथ में you have to permanently station some troops. और उन troops का खर्चा कौन देने वाला है? The kingdom, the state. So these were some conditions which were there. And the last E, just write one more condition. The Britishers also mentioned that the British resident is not going to interfere in the internal matters, of the state. So these were some terms and conditions which were being applied through your subsidiary alliance. Any problem till now? Right? Everything is crystal clear. Okay. Next main point. Yeah, I think this is the point number 3. Okay. One of the objectives behind this system, this system was to counter the French threat, was to counter the French threat in the form of Napoleon. French threat in the form of Napoleon. समझ आया इसका मतलब? बताओ.
नेपोलियन अपना यूरोप में तो पावर कैप्चर कर रहा था, इससे इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट पर खुद का कहीं अपनी आर्मी ना बैठे, वो सबको अपने अंदर ले जाता है जितना जल्दी हो.
Okay, good. That is one. Anything else anybody wants to add? Kuch add? Easy. Okay. You want to add something? Anyone? Take. Point is, if you see about Napoleon, right? So everybody knows about Napoleon. या कुछ idea है? So I should give you a brief background to Napoleon first. King of France, fine, but उससे थोड़ा पहले थोड़ा idea क्या था, क्यों था? Okay, I'll just tell you. अब क्या था? 1789 was it? It will take 5 minutes to explain you about the Napoleon. So Napoleon was actually the product of the French Revolution, or sometimes he's also known as the child of the French Revolution. Why? So no. 1789 was the time when French Revolution happened in France. Obviously, French Revolution. So when it happened in France, what happens is the aristocratic, the feudal, the good-for-nothing king, Louis XVI, gets thrown away from the French crown. Mostly because of the policies followed by him and his wife. His wife was very, very arrogant. You should watch this movie. It's a French movie, Marie Antoinette. So people were actually fighting for bread, such a small thing and the basic need, bread in French society. So when she came to know about it, she said, if the people cannot eat bread, they can eat cakes. I don't give a damn about these people, that whatever they eat, they can die for me. I don't care about these people. So people got even more kind of agitated. They said, if the queen is behaving in such a manner, where is exactly the rule of law? Where exactly the justice in the society? So hua kya कि this whole French Revolution broke out. So pura feudal aristocratic king was removed from the throne. Slowly and steadily they started moving towards a more constitutional form of government. ठीक है? तो उसी बीच 1795 में there comes a very, very efficient military commander known as your Napoleon Bonaparte, right? Napoleon Bonaparte, he comes to the helm of the military. He becomes a very important military commander. तो उसकी prestige और ज़्यादा कैसे increase होती है when he fights the war for France against your Italy and against Austria. सारे जो neighbors थे, he fought the wars and he became very successful. तो क्या धीरे धीरे जब war जीते successful हुआ, so he became very, very powerful in France. So 1799 what he did is he overthrew the rule of the directory. 1795 से लेकर 1799 तक फ्रांस के अंदर there was this rule of directory. Rule of directory के अंदर क्या था? There were 5 directors who were ruling over France. उनका कोई काम नहीं था. They were very corrupted. So they were not very efficient also. So Napoleon को एक और बहाना मिल गया उन्हें हटाने का. So 1799 he came to the power. Stayed in power until 1813. ठीक है. So इस बीच 1799 से लेकर 1813 तक when he remained in power, तो हुआ क्या? उसने इतनी सारी चीजें कर दी कि लोग 50 years 60 years में नहीं कर पाते हैं. So he started capturing the whole of Europe. धीरे धीरे he started moving towards the east, towards India and everything. तो उसका जो पूरा threat है, that began to loom even over India. इंडिया के ऊपर भी उसका पूरा का पूरा थ्रेट एग्जैक्टली नजर आने लग गया. और वो थ्रेट और ज्यादा इंक्रीज कैसे हो गया? बिकॉज फ्रेंच हैड द कॉलोनी ऑफ मॉरिशस, राइट? दे हैड द कॉलोनी ऑफ मॉरिशस. तो ब्रिटिशर्स को लगा कि फ्रेंच माइट अटैक इंडिया फ्रॉम मॉरिशस ऑन द इंस्ट्रक्शंस ऑफ नेपोलियन. तो उन्होंने धीरे धीरे क्या करना स्टार्ट करा? दे स्टार्टेड रिमूविंग बेसिकली द फ्रेंच फ्रॉम द सर्विसेज ऑफ एनी किंग. और धीरे धीरे सारे किंग्स के ऊपर अपना कंट्रोल एस्टैब्लिश करना स्टार्ट कर दिया, राइट? सो दैट वाज वन ऑफ द मेजर बैकग्राउंड्स टू द implementation of the subsidiary alliance policy. the threat of Napoleon Bonaparte and his expansion towards the east and the threat of attack from the colony of Mauritius. तो ये सब चीजें हैं that compelled Lord Wellesley to even expand his policy of subsidiary alliance even more. So when the question comes in the exam, consider the following points about subsidiary alliance. You're going to see one of the options as Napoleon being a threat to the British rule in India, and that particular option is correct. Most of the time people are not able to actually get this point correct because nobody, I don't think so, in school we are actually being told about Napoleon आया था, ये आया था. स्कूल में तो ये भी मुझे लगता था कि कभी भी ब्रिटिशर्स और पोर्चुगीज, सॉरी नॉट पोर्चुगीज, ब्रिटिशर्स और यूरोपियंस, नो यार, लेट मी, मुगल्स एंड द ब्रिटिशर्स, दे नेवर मेट. लेकिन when I started teaching, when I started reading more and more, I began to understand that they had a very healthy kind of conversation with each other. स्कूल में लगता था मुगल्स आए, यूरोपियंस आए, उसका ब्रिटिश रूल स्टार्ट हो गया, फिर इंडिपेंडेंस मिल गया. We were not made to see the interconnections these people had with each other. Similarly, threat of Napoleon on India was also one of the basic reasons why exactly subsidiary alliance was started in India, right? On a very huge scale, right? Where were we? So you want me to expand this point? या यहाँ तक भी सही है? It's fine, na? UP. Everybody is fine with this? You want me to just expand this? Just expand. My शक्लों पे लिखे सर थोड़ा सा expand कर दूँ. Full stop. The expansion policy of Napoleon towards the east the expansion policy of the Napoleon towards the east and the threat of French attack from Mauritius. French attack from Mauritius compelled this policy to be expanded. Compelled this policy to be expanded. Full stop. Right? So that is the background to the formation of your subsidiary alliance policy. This was the third point, right? Okay, fine. So we have up till now written who founded this policy, what was the terms and conditions of this policy, what was the major background to this particular policy, right? Now the next point, fourth point. It was very, very advantageous. It was very, very advantageous for the British. कैसे? You people are going to tell me this. Britishers के लिए कैसे इतना ज़्यादा advantageous थे? Okay, fine. Okay, fine, good. Yes. Anyone else? Yes. If you're not fighting wars, point is, everybody has seen that movie Blood Diamond. नहीं. You should watch that movie. ठीक है, उसमें क्या है? That movie is on the American Civil War, instigated by African Civil War, instigated by the Europeans in Africa. Why? For the diamonds, right? For they are instigating that civil war in Africa. तो अफ्रीका में सिविल वॉर में वो क्या कराते हैं? They actually pay some amount of money to the rebels of that particular government. अब वो rebels क्या करेंगे? They will be working for the European countries. और जो पूरा कंट्री के अंदर एक तरह से सिविल वॉर लाइक सिचुएशन हो जाएगा. अब गवर्नमेंट सिविल वॉर संभाले या ट्रेड एक्सपेंशन करे? नहीं हो सकता ना दोनों साथ में. सो ब्रिटिशर्स वर वेरी स्मार्ट इन दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट. उन्होंने क्या करा? आर्मी मेंटेन कर ली. आर्मी पे एक्स्ट्रा खर्चा नहीं करा. अगर इफ यू आर स्पेंडिंग मोस्ट ऑफ योर मनी of GDP on army maintenance, then you are left with very less money for the welfare of the common people. Similar thing was happening over here. They were spending that particular amount of money on the expansion of their trade, not for the expansion of their army, which they were doing through the Indian rulers' money. So that is why it was very, very advantageous for the Britishers कि अपने ट्रूप्स भी मेंटेन हो गया और पैसे भी नहीं लगे. Right? हमारे क्या होता है कम्युनिटी में एक बहुत अच्छी लाइन बोली जाती है. लाइन माय फुल नेम इज पुलकित अग्रवाल, तो बनिया, ठीक है. तो ये लाइन बोली जाती है, वो बनिया बिजनेसमैन नहीं क्या जो अपने पैसों से बिजनेस करे. समझ आई बात? Whenever you do business, you don't invest everything of yours, right? You play in the market with the money of others. Not illegally, but you play. You should be tactful enough to play. So that is what the Britishers were also doing. They only came with 200 people to India and they stayed here for 195 years. कहीं ना कहीं अपने पूरे टैक्स, अपने पूरे आइडिया से, अपने पूरे उन्होंने जो पूरे पॉलिसीज लगाए उनसे, राइट, आर्मी मेंटेन करा लिया, अपना ट्रेड एक्सपेंशन करा लिया. जब उन्हें पता है कि उन्हें कोई वॉर ही नहीं लड़नी क्योंकि मोस्ट ऑफ द इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेट्स वर कमिंग अंडर देम, तो वॉर लड़ेगा ही कौन? Nobody is going to fight the war, so they can concentrate all their energies on expansion of the trade. So that is how exactly the subsidiary alliance and everything was very, very kind of advantageous to the Britishers. So that is what we need to understand, right? The Britishers are very, very intelligent people, right? So ये एक interesting point है.
Advantageous for the British.
Okay, fine. What was the whole point?
It was very, very advantageous for the British.
Advantages for the British as they did not have to spend, as they did not have to spend any money, as they did not have to spend any money on the maintenance of the army, on the maintenance of the army, maintenance of the army, and they can now use that money, and they can now use that money, they can now use that money for their expansion of trade, for their expansion of the trade, for their expansion of the trade. Full stop. That was the advantage to the Britishers. Next to the last point is this system was very disadvantageous. This system was very disadvantageous for the Indian rulers, as they lost their independence, to make any decision, full stop. It created the system of dual government. It created a system of dual government wherein the Nawab or the king, did not have any resources, for the welfare measures, did not have any money or resources for the welfare measures, and the sufferers were the common people, full stop. जहां पे नोट्स खत्म करें, I'll just stop the class here only. जहां पर भी नोट्स खत्म करें, you should write all the states which came under the ambit of the subsidiary alliance. पहले उसको तुम्हारी मर्जी है. Either you want to make the map straight away, that is fine. you want to write the name of the states and then make the map, that is again fine. It all depends upon you how you want to do it, but you should do it, right? 5 minute का काम है, not more than that, right? Open a book, see the list, and then make it on the notebook. Yes. सर ने कौन सा सजेस्ट करी है?
Modern India के लिए sir ने suggest की NCERT. Bipen Chandra.
Bipen Chandra, NCERT class 12th.
Yes, sir.
That is fine, that is good. But if you want to like enhance your reading, I'll suggest you 2 more books. You can actually look at them and then understand whether you find them good or not. क्योंकि उन books में क्या है, they actually also counter your ideas of the mains examination. क्योंकि उसके अंदर जो मटेरियल है वो मेंस एग्जामिनेशन के लिए बहुत अच्छा है. इनफैक्ट 3 थिंग्स. एक सबसे पहली जो बुक है वो है इंडियाज स्ट्रगल फॉर इंडिपेंडेंस. NCERT will give you all the facts and everything. अब उसके बाद क्या होता है, मेंस आंसर राइटिंग के लिए आपको थोड़े इंफॉर्मेशन थोड़ी और नीडेड है. एवरीबडी इज रीडिंग दैट बुक, सो व्हाट आर यू डूइंग डिफरेंटली इन ऑर्डर टू स्कोर मोर? सो यू शुड रीड अराउंड. ऐसा नहीं है कि पूरी बुक्स पढ़नी है. पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक जो मेंस के लिए ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, particularly after 1857 the things become more important for mains, and particularly after 1885 things become very important for the prelims. तो उन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आप उन चैप्टर्स को पढ़ सकते हो. सो इंडिया स्ट्रगल फॉर फ्रीडम और इंडिपेंडेंस, ठीक है. दिस इज द बुक बाय वेरियस ऑथर्स हु टॉट अस इन कॉलेज, ठीक है. जैसे वैसे उनमें से बिपिन चंद्रा भी एक हैं, बिपिन चंद्रा हैं, मृदुला मुखर्जी है, आदित्य मुखर्जी है, बहुत सारे हैं. इट्स अ ब्लू कलर बुक, ब्लू कलर, उस पर येलो कलर से ड्राइंग बना रखा है. दैट इज वन बुक. एंड देयर इज अनदर बुक नोन एज प्लासी टू पार्टीशन, प्लासी टू पार्टीशन बाय शेखर बंदोपाध्याय, बाय शेखर बंदोपाध्याय. और बंदोपाध्याय लिखने में डिफिकल्टी हो, शेखर बैनर्जी ऑल्सो, राइट? लेकिन उन्होंने अपने बुक के ऊपर बंदोपाध्याय लिख रखा है. अब ये जो होता है ना, एंग्लिसाइज करते थे अपने सरनेम को मोस्ट ऑफ दीज बंगालीज, लाइक बंदोपाध्याय इट वाज अर्लियर बैनर्जी, सो उसको थोड़ा और ज्यादा मॉडर्न दिखाने के लिए, राइट, they converted to Bandyopadhyay. Chatterjee converts Chattopadhyay. That is something which my friend, she told me that earlier it was because this Bhatija, Baipo of Mamata Banerjee, Akash Banerjee, what is the name? Abhishek Banerjee. He actually uses this term Abhishek Bandyopadhyay instead of Banerjee. So then she told me all these things. So anyways, that is not the point of discussion right now. We'll come to this discussion when we come to social religious reforms in Bengal Renaissance. So Shekhar Bandyopadhyay is another book. You can have a look at it, or you can also have a look at a very easy read known as the IGNU Notes. IGNU Notes Modern India के, IGNU Notes Ancient के भी आते हैं, IGNU Notes Medieval के भी आते हैं, IGNU Notes आते हैं आपके Modern के भी. IGNU का सबसे बड़ा बेनिफिट ये है कि उसके अंदर it's not only about the ideas of one author. These notes are actually compiled by a team of authors. तो सबके आइडियाज उसके अंदर आपको मिल जाते हैं, which are very, आप ऑलरेडी एनसीईआरटी पढ़ चुके हो, आइडियाज दिमाग में हैं, उसको पढ़ने के बाद थोड़े और आइडियाज उसी टॉपिक को लेके they get just added on to that particular, right? So these are some of the books which you can refer to for the mains examination, and for the prelims, Spectrum. Nothing more than Spectrum is fine. Spectrum by Rajiv Ahir is good for the prelims examination, right? तीनों का होता है, मॉडर्न, मिडीवल, एंशिएंट. Rajiv Ahir, AHIR. If you want to get my IGNU notes, contact. किसी को नहीं आने वाला तो मेरे IGNU. घूमने नहीं चाहिए. They are with me since 2009 when I entered college. अभी 11 years हो गए उसको. उसका एक भी पेजेस इधर से उधर नहीं होना चाहिए, right? That is the whole idea. You people can access IGNU notes online also. उनका वेबसाइट पे जाके they have already uploaded the PDFs and everything. If you don't get them, tell me, I'll just get my IGNU notes from him and give it to you people, right? So I'll see you people tomorrow. We are going to do Doctrine of Lapse tomorrow, right? And then we are going to do the various socio-cultural reforms initiated by Britishers in India, right? So that will be the basic idea in tomorrow's class, right? I'll see you people. Thank you.